Welcome to my channel, Clark the Realtor. Don't forget to subscribe and let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Devon Clark, Clark the Realtor, whatever you guys want to call me. And today we are going to basically go through a couple questions that you should ask a lender when applying for a loan. If you guys watched the last video, we were talking about what is needed when you go to apply for an application to get a pre-approval for a home loan. However, this video, we're going to talk about some questions that you should be asking the lender. So either before or after you do this application, these are questions in which you should be asking the lender. Again, there's always a lot of questions to kind of ask, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. You should definitely ask questions. If you're a second-time home buyer, I always tell people, just because you're doing it for the second time, it never hurts to ask questions, because guess what? Things change. So it's always great to ask those questions to the lender that you guys are speaking with. And then also it's always great to get second opinions, right? You can always shop around, like everything in life. You can shop around to a different grocery store. You can shop around to get different clothes. You can shop around for gas. And just like when it comes to real estate, shop around for your realtor, shop around for your lender. You want to make sure you feel comfortable with the person that you're talking to. You want to make sure you can ask them questions. So it's always good to do that. But anyway, let's kind of jump into these questions, you guys. Before we get into this video, you guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys are a current subscriber, please make sure that you're still subscribed. YouTube has been unsubscribing people. I don't know why. They just don't want us to be great over here with real estate information. But so anyway, if you're a new subscriber to the channel, thank you for joining us as well. And like I said, let's kind of jump into these questions, y'all. So these are some questions that you should ask a lender that you're working with. And always, like I said, again, shop around with your lender, shop around with your realtor, shop around, you guys. See who makes sense to you. So I got my my phone here as usual, because there's a lot of questions. So let's kind of start with the first thing you should ask your lender is, do you service all loans? There are 5 different loans, you guys. That's the FHA loan, a VA loan, conventional. Of course, you have your jumbo loan and you have your USAD loan. So those are the 5 different types of loan. And of course, you can always use cash to buy your real estate as well. But however, if you're going to go the route of getting a loan, those are 5 different types of loans that you can get. All right. The next question is, how much down payment would I need? So how much down payment would I need? You guys need to know that different loans require different percentages as far as your down payment. So like if you use an FHA, your FHA is 3.5% for your down payment, right? So you just want to make sure you know exactly how much you would need in regards to a down payment. If you get a jumbo loan, you're going to need a higher down payment, because typically jumbo loans are for people that are buying, like, let's just say $1 million properties. You know, it can start a little lower nowadays as far as a jumbo loan, maybe like 750,000-ish or like 800,000, because now they kind of moved up the limits as far as when it comes to conventional loans which they can cover nowadays. So I'm gonna say a jumbo loan can kind of start around that 700 area and go up further and further. So typically when you start doing those jumbo loans, most people use a jumbo loan for $1 million properties and plus. But when you use those loans, you're going to put down a higher down payment. All right. So you need to know from the lender, how much would I need if I utilize this loan to put down when I'm buying a property? The next one is, what is my interest rate? You want to know your interest rate, you guys. So your interest rate will generally come from the credit score in regards to how much they would be kind of locking you in at. So you want to know, what is my interest rate? Of course, we know a higher interest rate comes with a possible higher payment, and a lower interest rate comes with a lower monthly mortgage payment. So you want to know what your interest rate is, you guys. All right, next question is, what is the annual percentage rate? So you want to know your annual percentage rate as well. All right, because those things, they all affect the mortgage and everything. All right. You also want to know, are you doing a hard credit check on me today? How many points will it be? So when you go to a lender, you want to ask them, is this a hard credit check or is this a soft? How many points would it deduct from my credit score? Because again, if you guys don't know, in the beginning, lenders will do a soft type of pull. It'll be a couple points per se. Some of them will say it won't be no points at all. So you just want to kind of know from the lender, will it affect my credit? Will it be any points at all? And then, as you guys should know, when you go through the process of underwriting, that's when they typically will do that hard credit check, that pull on your credit. All right. Number 6, do you charge for an interest rate lock? So you want to know, am I going to get charged if I decide to lock my interest rate? All right. You don't want that to be a surprise when it comes to the closing table and you see that additional cost in there of them locking the rate. So you kind of want to know these questions, you guys. Number 7, will I have to pay mortgage insurance? So mortgage insurance is usually your PMI. So you generally have to pay mortgage insurance, you guys. If you put, for conventional, if you put less than 20% down. For FHA, you always have to pay it until a certain amount of years. I believe it's 10 or 11 years in a certain like ratio as far as you paid, as far as making your payment on your on the loan. I don't want to put a number out there because I don't want you guys to quote me with something and be wrong. So I don't want to put a number out there, but FHA, generally you'll have your PMI, which is your mortgage insurance. And then with conventional, if you put 20% or more down, you won't have a PMI. But if you put 20% less down, you will, okay? Number 8, is there any prepaid penalty if I pay my mortgage off early? So you want to kind of ask these questions, you guys. If you pay your mortgage off early, are there any prepaid penalties? Because most people don't realize that with some loans, there are penalties if you pay the mortgage off sooner than they want you to kind of pay it off. Typically with FHA loans, there's generally no penalty in regards to paying it off early. However, always consult with your lender just to double check and make sure, because again, things change as we evolve, and as times change, things change. So you want to ask your lender that question in regards to prepayment penalties if you were to pay off your mortgage earlier, right? Number 9, do you charge an origination fee? Some lenders charge an origination fee, some of them don't. So you want to ask that question, do you guys charge an origination fee? Number 10, what other costs would I have to pay at closing? So you want to know what other costs might you have to pay at closing. If you guys don't know, well, in the state of Georgia, every state is different in regards to closing costs per se, but generally the buyer kind of pays a lot of the closing costs. So you kind of want to, as a buyer, most buyers are go into a deal or a negotiation per se, asking for closing costs. And again, closing costs only comes during certain seasons, right? If it's a seller's type of season in the market, it's going to be hard to get those closing costs. But if we're in a buyer's market, it's going to be a little bit more easier because people are just trying to sell their property. They've been sitting for a long time. So I always tell people, generally, if you see a property that's been sitting for more than like 90 days or 100 days, I would typically go in and ask for some closing costs because it's kind of harder for them to move it, and they're willing to kind of do what they can now. And you can always ask for closing costs even in the beginning if you want to. It might be harder, and I don't tell you to live up to that expectation of thinking you're going to get closing costs if a house kind of hit the market like a day or two ago. But it's, you can always ask. The one thing about real estate is everything is negotiable, right? So you can always ask in regards to closing costs, but you want to kind of ask your lender more of like what other costs would you need to pay at closing. So closing costs is more for where you're in negotiation with the you as a buyer and the seller of the home to kind of get that. But as a buyer, you will have additional type of fees at the closing, depending on what state you're in. Like our state, we have like transfer tax fees. We have different things. You might have a HOA initiation fee for your HOA. Yeah, so you kind of want to know those different things that you might be paying at closing, or even after closing. What other additional fees would I be paying? All right. Number 11, how often will I be updated on the process of my loan? So you want a lender that is going to always update you on the process of your loan. And also you want a realtor that's going to reach out and have a clear communication with your lender. What I like to do is I like to make sure everybody's on the same page. So I always connect with the lender and the client as well. And even if a client comes to me and they already have a lender, I always say, hey, is it possible that I can meet your lender? If it's possible that you can give me their phone number and I can just make a connection, letting them know that, hey, this person is working with me. And I just want us to have a whole clear and open communication line right here, so that way we know what is needed, what is the time. Because as we all know, real estate is, we have a saying real estate is time is of the essence, right? So we want to make sure we get everything done on a timely manner and we don't allow anything to occur, because even when you're in buying a house as a buyer, you have a due diligence period in which there's a certain period that you put earnest money deposit down, and that's like a good faith deposit putting down to show that you're really interested in buying this house and that you're going to keep your promise to buy said house. So you put a certain amount of money down for that house, which is typically 1 to 3% of the purchase price. You put that down to buy the house, and we don't want you to be, to lose that. So we all kind of want to be on the same page, because you can lose your earnest money, you guys. All right. Number 12. It's a lot. It's a lot of questions here, right, y'all? Number 12. How long is the pre-approval good for? So you need to ask your lender, how long is your pre-approval good for? Most people don't notice that just because you got pre-approved, let's say in January, and then you turn around and you try to buy a house in June, that pre-approval might not be good for you to be able to utilize to purchase the house, because most pre-approvals is about 90 days. So you want to kind of know how long the pre-approval is good for, right? So those are questions you want to ask the lender, because when that pre-approval goes, then you have to go back and reapply, and they're gonna, hit that credit again, possibly, and they're also going to turn around and maybe give you a different interest rate. So you might be locked at a different interest rate, because we know interest rates fluctuate, right? All right, number 13. If the pre-approval should expire, will you have to repull my credit, and or will my interest rate change? So we kind of already ran through that. So that's a question you want to ask the lender. But like I said, your credit, they might have to pull again, and also your interest rate could possibly change. All right. So that's questions you want to ask the lender. And let's round it off with this last question. It says, should I lock my interest rate? So some people ask me that all the time, like, should we lock our interest rate? It just depends on how you feel. If you feel comfortable at the interest rate that the lender gives you in the time, that time period or whatever, say like the interest rates are a 5. Let's just say 5, even though we know right now they're not, but we're just going to live in the future. Say that they're a 5, right? And you want to lock it at a 5. But then let's say, hypothetically, next week they drop to a 4. It might be hard to kind of go back and be like, hey, can you reverse that and put it at a 4 instead of a 5? So you don't know. So it just has to, it's up to you, right? So, but you want to ask those questions. You should ask the lender, and they'll kind of advise you in the right way. I always tell people, sometimes it's not the best option to always do like a floating type of interest rate situation, because we don't know. We can't predict how the interest rates are going to go. The interest rates can go up. They could go down. You don't know. So you have to feel comfortable with the interest rate that they give you. If you feel secure at that interest rate, you should lock the interest rate. And if you feel like, hey, I want to gamble, I want to take a chance, I don't want this particular interest rate, you can fill it out or whatever. But I would definitely have a conversation with the lender and see how they're feeling, because most lenders kind of know where the interest rates are kind of going. So you want to have that conversation with the lender. All right, you guys. So those are a few questions you should ask a lender when applying for a pre-approval. Like I said, in our last video, we talked about what is needed in regards to the application for a pre-approval. But in this video, we talked more about what are some questions you can ask the lender prior to filling out the application. You want to have that clear communication with your lender. And I hope those questions helped you guys out. If you have any questions in regards to me, again, I am a realtor. I'm not a lender. But if you have any questions in regards to me, if you want me to connect you with lenders that I know, I definitely can do that as well. My email is below. And I appreciate you guys joining me today. Have a wonderful day, and take care. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.